Now, Michelle Obama making headlines this morning because she launched a new podcast with her brother, and in the first episode, she's been giving an insight into her marriage of 32 years. Well, with me now, broadcaster and author Celia Walden, along with our Ross in Los Angeles. Ross, this podcast came out yesterday, and also she kind of addresses some of the rumours that have been swirling around about their marriage, which just don't seem to go away. You know, that the marriage is in trouble and all of these things. What do you think?
I think they're keeping it going. I
Do
think,
you?
why not? They know that, you know, they're not daft. They know that we're talking about it. You know, it's in the media and all the rest of it. She's got a podcast. She wants listeners. You know, you drip feed a little bit and say, oh, the topic of divorce will come up. And of course, the topic of divorce that did come up was about her brother's divorce. So I think they just want to keep things going. Now, whatever is happening behind closed doors, I have no idea what is going on. But the simple fact of the matter is they want to stay relevant. They want to stay in the news. There's one way of doing it. Just let us all chat away. You know, you can have people like Jennifer Aniston, who was the wild allegation that she and Barack were together and all the rest of it. And she was on Jimmy Kimmel's chat show out here. Jimmy Kimmel is an old pal of Jennifer's. And, you know, she just said, no, it's nonsense. I've met him once. So bang, she killed that. But of course, the other stuff, if you don't really talk about it, people keep on talking about it.
Right.
More people listen to your podcast.
Oh, that's so fascinating, Ross. So you think they could be keeping the pot boiling. But Celia, there's a real fascination about this couple, isn't there?
I know. Well, I was thinking about Jennifer Aniston. I mean, there are worse people to be linked with.
Yeah.
If somebody linked me with Obama, I would go on every chat show going, well, there's absolutely no truth to this whatsoever, with a little wink at the camera. You know, keep that one going as long as you can. But it is, I think that we're all, we're all fascinated by marriage, aren't we? And it's been 32 years. And people would obviously be devastated if they split up, which is interesting on its own because we don't know them. You know, we don't know what's going on.
You feel you do, don't you?
You feel you do, and you feel like they're sort of emblematic of a really, really strong marriage.
Yeah.
But the only substance seems to be that no one's seen them together in a while, which is not, I mean, in itself. How often are you seen with your husband? Probably not that often.
No, but we're inside the house.
No, exactly.
We're not together. We're just not out there.
No,
I
mean, you've both got your separate lives.
Indeed.
There's a limit to how much sort of date night type activity is going to be going on. I speak for myself, but you know, I obviously try not to be seen in public with my husband. But it's just there doesn't seem to be any substance to it at all, as far as I can tell.
But it's so interesting that Ross says, you know, that he's saying there. Well, you know, if they don't say anything, they could easily look. Ross, you're right. They could easily come out and say, look, enough is enough. That's it. You know, they've all got massive social media platforms. They could actually just nip this in the bud and say, behave, everybody, move along, you know, get on with your lives. But they're not. How fascinating.
Yeah, and then again, you know, as Celia's saying there, you know, loads of couples are not seen out in public that often. Then there was the whole thing. She wasn't at the inauguration for Trump.
Yes.
Well, Trump said a lot of nasty things about her husband. He had to really be there, being a former president. She didn't need to be there. But of course, it's like, oh, she wasn't at the inauguration. There we are. There's another one. And it's like that thing. And, you know, Celia knows exactly what it's like out here with TV. You know, everything is all about, like, the teases. And they even say, and I've worked in American TV here where they go, you can keep the tease going. It doesn't have to pay off. And I've said, no, all teases have to pay off, even if it's a bit jokey or whatever. But no, they just love that tease. And I think that just buys into it all.
Keeping us all speculating.
I think the only thing that does sort of slightly, not suspicious but surprising, was her not being at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Yes, so, I was surprised at that.
Yeah,
I was, because you'd have to be doing something very special not to be at that massive event.
Yes, and she was in Hawaii on vacation supposedly, but it wasn't really. It wasn't really explained properly. So you know, but there could have been all sorts of reasons that we don't know about.
What do we think of George Clooney's new look? Now, he has been spotted with dyed brown hair. We understand it is for a film role, Ross. That's why that's happened.
Yeah, it's actually for Broadway. He's on stage on Broadway. Good Night and Good Luck is the play. He did the movie. He produced the movie before, was in it, but didn't play the lead role of Edward R. Murrow. He is playing the lead role in this one. So he debuted the new look with the coloured brown hair. Of course, we've known him for years now. I mean, I think George started to go a bit grey in his late 20s. And then round about 2000, he started putting a bit of colour in there. And then for this one, he's put a lot of colour in it. But he was just saying that he reckons that Amal and the kids are not going to like the new look. And of course, I speak as an expert here because my hair is completely natural, as you know. And as we always say, that's what it says in the bottle. So I always think it's great when people do give it evidence and they go, look how good George Clooney. If George Clooney was bald, he would still look good.
Yes.
Remember, George had a mullet and he looked good.
He looked good. He did have a... You're right. And you are an expert, and it's perfectly natural. It looks fantastic. I must admit, I don't know if you agree, Celia, I do like a silver fox. I do like a man that goes grey.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they've got a fine head of hair.
Exactly. But what I think is weird is these different kind of taboos with male, sort of beauty. In terms of there is still a stigma around colouring your hair, but I don't think there's a stigma around having hair transplants anymore. You know, we've had all these famous people come out and say that they've had it done. Yeah.
And just normalise it.
Just normalise it. But so why would colouring it be any different?
I don't know, but a lot of men, they just don't want to do it. They just don't. They find it strange. Whereas we colour our hair, I certainly do. You know, I have to go every sort of 8 weeks to just get wee bitties so that you cover it up and it looks better.
But I wonder if it's to do with things that have been done badly. And I spend a lot of time in LA where there's natural light, which I realise is a sort of strange concept to us. But the problem with natural light is, of course, you see everything. Yes. So when you're sitting having a drink or dinner on a patio in sort of 75 degrees, you see all these men and they either have blue-black hair or they have that kind of dark russet toned hair. Yes. And I think it's probably because they're doing it themselves. And I think, and maybe that's where the stigma comes from.
Go to a professional. Always go to a professional. I mean... Yeah, no, it's true. Ross, is there a lot of pressure? There must be, because there's a lot of pressure on women, but we kind of forget about the pressure there is on men. Now, obviously, George Clooney's doing that for the role that he's playing, because he's gone grey naturally. But is there a lot of pressure on men, do you think?
Well, I think it depends on who you are and what it is that you actually do. You know, and again, you know, some people do it. You know, I think George actually said he thinks that people that colour the hair makes them look older. But I think sometimes with people, and in my own circumstance as well, it's actually, if you could see my ratty brown hair with grey, it's horrendous. You may think it's horrendous the way it is, but it's actually better. So it's not a case of trying to look younger, it's just trying to make it look a bit better. Yeah. So I think, but, you know, again, it depends who it is. And also, you know, as Celia was saying, that, you know, the amount of people out here and huge movie stars who've had, you know, the full plugs done and all the rest of it. And, you know, some have come out and confessed it, some haven't. But again, I do always laugh because, you know, you look at people like Pierce Brosnan and people go, oh, my goodness me, you know, great silver fox. But you go, again, one of the most handsome men in the world, looks great. And then you've got somebody like Brad Pitt, who, you know, you and I laugh about the fact that, weirdly enough, Brad can have the shortest hair in the world and then 3 weeks later have, like, long hair. Yes. It's like you press his belly button and the hair grows.
Like Tressie?
It's wonderful like that. But again, for people like that, you know, it's, you know, it's all right if you look like George Clooney. Me, look more like Rosemary Clooney. So, you know, you just got to weigh it all up.
That was his auntie, wasn't it? That was his auntie. Piers doesn't dye his hair because I'm reliably informed that's a wig, Celia.
He's
going to kill me.
He does. He has always had a suspicious amount of hair. His own hairdresser said, "Well, you know, you just have a lot of hair."
Yes.
And he, I can say it's all entirely natural.
It's entirely natural.
He's ferociously against dyeing it. Yes. Not that I've ever suggested it, because I happen to like you. I like the silver fox.
Men are annoying, though, aren't they? They
are
can look really good with grey hair.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about hair. I thought you meant generally. Oh, yeah.
Generally, men are annoying. On that bombshell, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you. And Ross, thank you as well. And you look beautiful.
Thanks.
It's lovely. You look very, very good. You do. He's a man in his prime. In his prime, I tell you. Well, that's a wrap for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We have all the best moments from the show right here on the channel. And if you like this video, then we think you'll love this one. See you next time.